buddy? Do you like NASCAR? Do you like a Tribe Called Quest? Well, you gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like manwich and nachos? Well, then you'd love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like guns? Do you like butter? Well, you're gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Yo, what's good, son? You like pit bulls, say? You like solving Sudoku puzzles? Then you gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Welcome to the Urban Conservative Podcast, where we do not believe that avocado toast can save the planet or the world will end, because cars use gasoline. You won't hear that Wi-Fi is a basic human right, or that billionaires are secretly supervillains. Here, we do not believe that electric cars run on hopes and dreams. You also won't hear that anyone who disagrees with us is a fascist, or that socialism will make everyone rich. You won't be gender affirmed or offered any opportunity to share your preferred pronouns. If this causes you any discomfort, please rest assured that we couldn't possibly care less. For everyone else, thank you, and please stand by.
My fellow Americans, it's time for the Urban Conservative Podcast. This is without a doubt the best podcast on the internet. It's about to go down here on the Urban Conservative.
3, 2, 1.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is. It's a Monday night. That means it's time for the Urban Conservative Podcast. Yours truly, Abdul Ali, one half of the TUC twins, in the building with you each and every Monday night. I got to give a massive shout out to my twin brother, Raheem Architect Soto, who is man down right now, a little under the weather. So I will be rocking with you solo bolo tonight. As always, jump in the comment section. Let us know where you are watching and or listening from. If you want to get an ad here on the platform, you can reach out to us at tuconservative@gmail.com. Information is screening on the bottom of your screen. Before we jump into the show tonight, one massive thing I do got to do. And I mean, look, folks, we are in the throes of election season. You know, primaries are starting to get all wrapped up around the country. You know what I mean? Things are starting to kind of pick up around, you know, we've got the Texas primary out of the way. But now it is time to talk about what's happening here in North Carolina. And without a doubt, we need you to get out if you live in the great state of North Carolina and spread the word about my good friend Michael Watley, who is running for U.S. Senate here in the great state of North Carolina. You are not going to find somebody that's going to work harder for you, the American people here in North Carolina. So again, big shouts out to Michael Watley. We're going to have him on the show at some point in the very near future. So stay tuned right here to the Urban Conservative. Make sure you check out my man, Michael Watley, who is running for U.S. Senate here in North Carolina. Now, folks, you know, it has been an interesting few weeks. It has been, you know, everything going on in Iran, everything going on across the country. There's one thing we're going to start tonight's show off talking about. And the reason we're going to talk about this tonight is because while everybody is up in arms about the Jesse Jackson funeral and everything that was going on with Jesse Jackson, this right here doesn't seem to be getting enough play. Listen to this.
I now want to bring forth a friend who, when we opened this Wall Street project and we talked about it, he gave us space at 40 Wall Street, which was a statement about our having a presence there. And beyond that, in terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too.
Straight from Jesse's mouth. He's been inclusive. Here we go.
And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. And many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid. He came to our business meeting here in New York because he has this sense of the curious and a will to rest to make things better. Who's an effective builder of building to the builder people. Last year he was a part of our workshop, of our panel workshop on what are the challenges and opportunities. And so this, a year later, Donald Trump, for a few minutes, challenges and opportunities to embrace the underserved communities. Donald Trump.
Well, it is an honor.
I'm not even going to play the rest of that. But let's be clear. Let's be absolutely 100% clear about something, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just be real. People are asking how come Donald Trump didn't show up. I know why he didn't show up. I know why he didn't show up. You know why he didn't show up? Because he showed up when the man was alive. And I keep telling folks, funerals are not for the dead. Funerals are for the living. Funerals, more often than not, are spectacle. And this, ladies and gentlemen, this was more spectacle than even Jesse Jackson's son could take. I don't know if y'all heard what Jesse Jackson's son had to say about how Barack Obama and others treated his father's funeral. I just need y'all to hear this. This is straight from the horse's mouth. Y'all take a listen to this.
Yesterday, I listened for several hours of 3 United States presidents who do not know Jesse Jackson.
I don't even got to go no further. Listen, folks, this should show you, especially black folks, and I don't care, Democrat, Republican is not what we're talking about right now. This should show you how much they actually cared about what Jesse's son wanted. They used this man's funeral. They used an opportunity that could have been something that would have brought the country together. I'll say it again. The reason the president wasn't there was because he actually helped Jesse Jackson when he was alive, which is far more than Barack Obama did, far more than Joe Biden did, and far more than Bill Clinton did. It is a despicable, absolutely unconscionable thing that those 3 men did. And Al Sharpton into that mix, the major one into that mix, but talking, just outright attacking politics and Trump. And part of this, I might get in trouble for saying it, but I'll say it anyway. Part of this is they realize that the plantation ain't doing that well, that the emperor has no clothes, if you will. They're starting to realize that folks are not falling for it anymore. So they had to use this opportunity. They had to use this opportunity to do exactly what Jesse Jackson Jr. asked them not to do, which was politicize their father's funeral. It would have been the right thing to do, to say Jesse Jackson was a great man. He cared about his community. He wasn't perfect. He did what he needed to do. He did what he felt was right. He did the best he could. Our country's better off for having him. Thank you for coming out. God bless you. That should have been the extent of the speeches by Obama and Biden. And I don't know if y'all saw the moment where Biden, in a room predominantly full of black people, told them all that he's smarter than them. Somebody forgot to get that man his medication. Somebody didn't write the speech right. I don't know what happened with that, but I think you have to stand in awe of these folks' ability to be outright disrespectful. When Jesse Jackson Jr. asked them not to make his father's funeral political. Let's keep going with this.
He maintained a tense relationship with the political order, not because the presidents were white or black, but the demands of our message, the demands of speaking for the least of these, those who were disinherited, the damned, the dispossessed, the disrespected, demanded not Democratic or Republican solutions, but demanded a consistent, prophetic voice that at no point in time ever sold us out as a people. And it speaks volumes about who the Reverend Jesse Jackson was.
So you got to stand in awe, folks. You got to stand in awe of the ability of people like Barack Obama, like Joe Biden, like Al Sharpton, to take something as which could have been an amazing opportunity to turn it into what they turned it into. Absolutely disgraceful, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm glad Jesse Jackson Jr. called him out about it. Absolutely glad that he did that. We're going to take our first break right here on the Urban Conservative. Y'all don't move. We're going to talk about what's going on in New York City right after this commercial break. Y'all don't move. We on the Urban Conservative Podcast, y'all.
Are you tired of thinking for yourself? Sick of facts getting in the way of your feelings? Introducing Democratinol, the revolutionary pill that turns you into a full-blown, blissfully ignorant liberal. Bob used to think for himself, believe in hard work and personal responsibility, but then he tried Democratinol. Now he thinks the government should pay for everyone's unicorn rides. Climate change? It's real because feelings. And taxes? The more the merrier, as long as it's not his money. Democratinol works fast. Side effects may include sudden urges to virtue signal on social media, believing everything on CNN is gospel, forgetting how math works, especially budgets, compulsory recycling of other people's ideas, and in rare case, voting for policies that sound nice but bankrupt the country. Ask your doctor if Democratinol is right for you, or don't. Who needs doctors when you have vibes? Not approved by the FDA because facts are oppressive. Available at your local Echo chain.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're back on the Urban Conservative Podcast. Yours truly, Abdul Ali, rocking with you each and every Monday right here on the Urban Conservative Podcast. Make sure you are locked in with us each and every Monday through Friday for Top of the Morning, our best 30-minute morning show on the interwebs. We're going to jump into this next thing real quick. And look, this is by far one of the most troubling, but I'm not even going to say troubling. You know why I'm not going to say troubling? Because you get what you vote for. You get exactly what you vote for. Elections have consequences. Insert "we told you so" cliche there. Okay? Insert "we told you so" cliche right there. Now, Mayor Mamdani, who happens to be New York City's first Muslim mayor, addressed this incident that's being prosecuted by the DOJ, where two people thought it was a good idea to try to throw IEDs at a protest in New York City. On March 7th, protest organized by Jake Lang titled "Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City" took place outside of Gracie Mansion, the official residency of the mayor, who happens again to be a mayor. The event drew counter-protesters under the banner "Run Nazis Out of New York City." During that clash between the two groups, two individuals, and we now know Emir Balat, 18, and Ibrahim Kayumi, 19, both from Pennsylvania, and identified as counter-protesters, ignited and threw improvised explosive devices towards the main protesters. The devices contained triacetone triperoxide, a volatile explosive, along with shrapnel-like nuts and bolts, but they did not fully detonate, resulting in no injuries or death. So let's be crystal clear. It is absolutely 1,000%, 1,100,000,000%. They should be thrown under the jail. They should, for as many people that were out there, that's how many attempted murder charges they should get. And you have to ask yourself this question. You really do have to ask yourself this question. If the protest was against the Muslim takeover of New York City, and they were worried about radical Islamic violence, and then you have two radical Muslims come and throw IEDs, doesn't that prove the point? I mean, I could be wrong here, but doesn't that prove their point? Wouldn't a better way to not prove that point be to come out there and engage in dialogue and engage in conversation and engage in what might be very difficult dialogue or conversation? Wouldn't that be the right way to prove it? But no. Y'all saw what happened with the hijacking of a plane not too long ago and what we're dealing with in this country. And you think about how many people from countries that hate the United States came across the southern border. You think about that. Now, here's the other side to this. Mamdani wants to blame white supremacy for what happened in New York City. This is by far the most ridiculous statement he could have made. Listen to this.
Were home at the time. This was a vile protest rooted in white supremacy entitled Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City. I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know this city as our home. While I found this protest appalling, I will not waver in my belief that it should be allowed to happen. Ours is a free society where the right to peaceful protest is sacred. It does not belong only to those we agree with. It belongs to everyone. I will defend that right every day that I am mayor, even when those protesting say things I abhor. Let me also be clear about something else. New York City will never tolerate violence, whether from protests or counter-protests. Many of the counter-protesters met this display of bigotry peacefully, with a vision of a city that is welcoming to all. But a few did not. Two men, Amir Balat and Ibrahim Qayyumi, traveled from Pennsylvania and attempted to bring violence to New York City. They are suspected of coming here to commit an act of terrorism. There is video of these two individuals throwing two devices towards the protest. The police department has determined that these were improvised explosive devices made to injure, maim, or worse. Thanks to the swift and decisive actions of NYPD officers at the scene, both men were immediately taken into custody, and the devices they brought taken off of our streets.
So let's be crystal clear here, folks. Let's just call this what this is. These young people have been radicalized. A lot of young people are being radicalized. I can only call it an act of divine intervention that those devices did not explode and cause all the havoc that was intended to be caused. And like I said, I think personally, I think they should be charged. Get a count, look at the video of how many people were out there, and that's how many attempted murder charges you all should be charged with. That's just my opinion. Y'all let me know what you think. That's what I think, that should be the way to handle that. But this idea that this protest was rooted in white supremacy, I don't think that protest was rooted in white supremacy. What you have to understand, and this is what I think the danger in allowing people, this is a country where you have the right to have any religion that you want or to have no religion. You absolutely have that right. But we as a country also have values, right? We also want people that are going to come to our country and assimilate and become part of the fabric of America. People need to know that this is, and I'm going to be very delicate with how I say this, because at the end of the day, and this is, you can just do your history, do a little bit of research. The United States would not exist as a country without Morocco. The first country in the world to recognize the United States of America as a country was the Kingdom of Morocco. Read the letter from George Washington to the Sultan of the Moroccan Empire, to the King of Morocco. This is about an ideology by some that wants death to our country, that wants to change us from a free society, a Western society, and wants to change us to what's happening in Europe. This is an absolutely disgusting display. And I noticed, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but I noticed Mayor Mamdani did not say the words by two radical Islamic potential terrorists, because that's exactly what they were, folks. This idea that we're not smart enough to see through what we saw with our own eyes, and we all don't know what it is. That's the game that people like Mamdani play. You notice he didn't say those three words, radical Islamic terrorists. And that's what these two young men were. That's exactly what they were. And the situation could have been so much worse, okay? Now, the U.S. Department of Justice, through the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, unsealed federal charges against Balat and Qayyumi today on March 9th. The charges stem from the intent to cause mass casualties in support of ISIS, a designated foreign terrorist organization. The charges that are filed are attempted provision of material support of ISIS, max 20 years. use of a weapon of mass destruction, max life in prison. Transportation of explosive materials, max is 10 years. Interstate transportation and receipt of an explosive, max 10 years. Unlawful possession of destructive devices, max 10 years. So we're looking at 20, 30, 40, 50 on the numbered charges, and the use of a weapon of mass destruction is life. So these young people are looking at potentially life. And there is evidence that Balat pledged his allegiance to ISIS in a post-arrest note saying, quote, "I pledge my allegiance to the Islamic State. Die in your rage, you kafar," a common ISIS slogan. Qayyumi admitted to law enforcement that he was affiliated with ISIS and watched ISIS propaganda and was inspired by the group. Balat also expressed a desire for the attack to be even bigger than the 2013 Boston Massacre bombing, stating that this, quote, "isn't a religion that just stands when people talk about the blessed name of the prophet. We take action." This is where you got to understand why people have a problem with Islam in America today. Because you need to have Muslim clerics, you need to have Islamic leaders coming out to condemn this type of action. You have to. And the longer they stay silent, the longer they say nothing about it, the more people are going to have anti-Muslim, anti-Islamic sentiment in the United States. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our very last commercial break of this episode. We will be right back to chop it up a little bit about the midterms. We'll be right back here on the Urban Conservative Podcast. Y'all don't go nowhere.
Just because you're black doesn't mean you have to vote Democrat. This year, in order to see benefits for our communities, we need to vote outside the box. Find out more by visiting us at tuconservative.com. Are you tired of thinking for yourself? Sick of facts getting in the way of your feelings? Introducing Democratinol, the revolutionary pill that turns you into a full-blown, blissfully ignorant liberal. Bob used to think for himself, believe in hard work and personal responsibility, but then he tried Democratinol. Now he thinks the government should pay for everyone's unicorn rides. Climate change? It's real because feelings. And taxes? The more the merrier, as long as it's not his money. Democratinol works fast. Side effects may include sudden urges to virtue signal on social media, believing everything on CNN is gospel, forgetting how math works, especially budgets, compulsory recycling of other people's ideas, and in rare cases, voting for policies that sound nice but bankrupt the country. Ask your doctor if Democratinol is right for you, or don't. Who needs doctors when you have vibes? Not approved by the FDA because facts are oppressive. Available at your local echo chain.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. You're back on the Urban Conservative Podcast. Yours truly, Abdul Ali, rocking with you. We're going to talk a little bit on the tail end about these midterms that are coming up. Got the Cook political leaning here. You see what's going on. And here's what I think the bottom line is going to boil down to. You know, you're going to have your pundits saying this. They're going to say that. They're going to say this seat is going to go that way. This seat is going to go that way. And one thing I want us to be mindful of is that as Republicans, you have to not snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, as it were. You know, you've got several states where there's issues going on, and I think you've got to be willing. Republicans are going to have to be willing to fight for these seats. There's not going to be any gimmies. And when you look at the turnout so far in the states that have had their primaries already, like you look at North Carolina, Democrats were motivated to come out. Republicans, not so much. I don't know how to chalk that up to. But when you look at states like North Carolina, you see districts that are solid D. There's 189 solid D, 8 likely Democrats, 14 lean, and 18 toss-ups. And this is just on the House side. And then when you look at this map in the context of what that means for the midterms in general, and this is as of January, so this is likely to change. Cook Political has this leaning Democrat. And I'm not saying Cook Political is the end-all, beat-all, but we as Republicans on our side of the aisle, we're going to have to figure out a way to message about safety and all of these community concerns. Okay, this is really where we got to put the primaries behind us. You've got to be willing as Republicans to accept that the voters have chosen the nominees, and you've got to get behind them. We've got a major race for U.S. Senate here in North Carolina. Looks like we've got a major race in the 1st Congressional District. Shouts out to Lori Buckout. Can't wait to get her on the show to talk about what's going on up in the 1st Congressional District and the opportunity to finally send Don Davis packing. But Republicans are going to have to come into these midterms unified. And I think the other big thing, the National Republican Congressional Committee, the National Republican Senate Committee, these political operatives, these fundraisers, they are the status quo tends to only put money where they think they can win. Democrats have targeted areas. You know, you don't get a Charlotte overnight. You don't get cities that had Republican mayors and, you know, Democrat and Republican city councils overnight. These major national Republican organizations are going to have to look at these urban centers as areas of opportunity. You know, you look at the Senate race here in North Carolina, we're going to need to get 120,000 plus votes out of Mecklenburg County in order for Whatley to win that Senate race. But we're not going to do it if we're not focused on making sure that we're getting our message out to people in the Charlottes of the world, the Raleighs, the New York Cities, et cetera. So you jump in the comments. Let us know what you think. Can Republicans pull out the midterms? Do you think we're going to get past tax season, get more unified? Will gas go back down? You know, will we have a good story on the economy for folks to tell? I certainly hope we do. But again, let us know what you think. Jump in the comment section. As always, TU Conservative, TU Conservative on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube at TUC Twins. Make sure you give us a like, share, follow, and subscribe. We'll catch y'all live and direct for top of the morning tomorrow. Peace and love, y'all.